Hey, welcome to Skyler's Real Reviews. Today we're going to be going over young Washington. Before his face was carved into a mountain, before he was considered a founding father of this great country, there was a young man who started a war, got his men killed, and had to live with it. That's the George Washington that young Washington wants you to meet. Not the marble statue, not the glorified hero, the boy who would eventually become that. I'm going to tell you if this movie earns that story and why the way it shows his failures is actually the most patriotic thing about it. Directed by John Irwin, Young Washington covers roughly 12 years of George Washington's early life, from a stubborn, fatherless teenager learning land surveying to a young officer literally thrown into the French and Indian War. No spoilers on the specifics, but the shape of the story is this. A young man with no formal education, no fortune, and no social status boldly and persistently talks his way into command, makes a catastrophic mistake in the wilderness, and has to decide if that failure defines him or forges him. Here's my bottom line up front. Although there are some intense battle scenes, this is not the non-stop, action-packed, save the world type movie. But if you care about how character gets developed, you need to see it. If you're a fan of American history, war dramas like The Patriot, or stories about leadership under pressure, this is squarely made for you. Families looking for a bit of a history lesson will find it, though it is rated PG-13 for realistic battlefield scenes and violence. Let's talk about leadership. This is where the movie earns its keep and why I'm making this video. What the film gets right is refusing to hand Washington instant greatness. It shows him bold before he's wise, eager, ambitious, and hungry for approval from the British crown, and willing to accept a mission that's basically a political trap. Succeed and the credit goes elsewhere, but fail and he's the fall guy. And he does fail. Young men under his command are lost, and that's not a footnote the film glosses over. That's the engine that drives the whole story. What makes this patriotic in the truest sense isn't some flag-waving speech, it's this. The film argues that the qualities that made Washington great, his humility, his willingness to be corrected, his bravery, his refusal to quit even after catastrophe, those qualities were built, not given. He isn't shown as destined for Mount Vernon or the presidency. He's shown as a young man who has to choose over and over to take responsibility for his actions and not make excuses. That's a distinctly American idea, and one worth putting back in front of audiences. That character isn't an accident of birth or blood, it's the accumulation of hard choices, especially the ones made after you screwed up. Mentor figures around him function less as cheerleaders and more as forces that test him. And the film is at its best when it lets those relationships do the work of showing Washington's growth instead of telling us about it. Continuing takeaway, greatness is built from the wreckage of your worst days, not despite them. That's a message worth more screen time, but it's present and it's sincere. Young Washington's definitely a worthwhile watch for anybody interested in history or anyone who wants to see a great example of leadership being developed and not just a finished statue at the end. If you've seen it, do you feel like the film earned Washington's turning point for you? Let me know. My favorite line from the movie is this: obedience can be commanded, respect must be earned. Thanks for watching Skyler's Real Reviews. We'll see you on the next one.